Speaking of stealing, are we in the territory of the Luka trade surpassing, at least in terms of short-term impact, the worst single season move? I liked how Mike Breen last night tried to dance around it of, you can't judge trades for years down the road. You need to be cautious on that.
I mean, Mike Breen.
And he goes, but for this year,
too nice.
It has been a disaster for the Mavericks, which is about as hard of a hammer as Breen is going to bust out. Yeah. It was the closest comp in my head watching that play out last night, from the tearful reaction to Luka seeing his tribute video, to the chance of fire Nico as he's absolutely dominated and scoring 45 points. Like the closest thing I think of is, okay, you can make the argument this is probably similar to how Giants fans felt about Saquon going to the division rival, running wild, winning the MVP, and winning the Super Bowl. The thing is, the Giants didn't trade Saquon to the Eagles. They made a calculated bet that they were going to be able to use those resources elsewhere, and that a running back who just had not been that effective and had not been healthy was not going to have the greatest season by a running back in NFL history. But you can understand that. It's not like Joe Shane called up Howie Roseman at the deadline and was like, what would you think about Saquon? Can I have one of your broken down older players who you don't want anymore? Can I have your backup edge rusher right now? And we'll take that for Saquon. I can't get over watching Mark Cuban's reaction. If Mark Cuban is still in control contractually, which he claimed he was going to be, remember,
right,
when he sold the majority interest, and supposedly, remember he had a quote at one point saying like the NBA wouldn't let them put that in the contract. Mark Cuban is sitting there last night watching the cutaways to him stone-faced after Luka's draining threes. Somebody on TikTok had a video, the crowd's chanting "Fire Nico," and he's just got his head in his hands, just can't believe it. Did anybody, you guys talk, I'm on NFL Network, okay? I have a very narrow focus. Had the name Nico Harrison ever come up? I know he had put together a roster around Luka that had gone to the NBA Finals, but had that name ever come up prior to this?
Didn't stick into our minds.
Never heard of him. Didn't know who he was.
I had to look after hearing Fire Nico last night and say, I need to find out who Nico is.
Wait a minute.
Because apparently he's responsible.
Are you saying just now? Like, we all his name really came into prevalence when the trade happened. That's when
I was slightly focused on NFL free agency at the time.
Okay, no. Trust me. Once the trade happened, his name, it was
everywhere.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
Who is
all
this guy?
knew Nico, yeah.
His bio, by the way, because again, I Googled this morning just to know. I'm not questioning the man's qualifications, okay? Again, he made the Kyrie trade. He put together a roster that was very good. I understand if you're an owner who's probably pretty new to this, you trust the guy who has shown, hey, he's got good instincts. He knows how to build a championship caliber roster. We'll trust him even if it's on trading away the most popular player we've had since Dirk Nowitzki and the guy who is one of the best players in the NBA and is still only 26 years old. We'll trust him even on that. I would ask a few questions, but we'll trust him even on that. So I'm not questioning his qualifications. I am merely saying the Wikipedia page of the Mavericks general manager, first of all, his playing career, these are maybe the best three team names I've ever heard that he played in various sub-NBA leagues in his pro career. He played for the Leuven Bears in Belgium.
Oh.
The Black Hills Posse. That's a name.
I like that.
And the Hitachi Hansha Rising Sun.
Hitachi.
Those are good team names.
Those are good team names.
I bet you every one of those jerseys is banging too.
Yeah,
the Black Hills Posse,
right?
Sounds really sick.
They came out to Cool Mo D, like, I'm telling you.
I think we're thinking like posse of, people who like stole gold in the 1800s. That's the posse I'm envisioning.
It's got to be
we got to go find that guy.
Is that like a South Dakota minor league? Like what? Black Hills, right?
The Black Hills Posse was a professional basketball team based in Rapid City in the International Basketball Association. There's Nico. He's a real guy.
Wow.
So he worked for 21 years at Nike.
Right.
Mm-hmm. This is the informative line from that section of his Wikipedia page. During his work at Nike, he botched a 2013 presentation to Stephen Curry, where, according to Harrison, he may have called him Seth, and the presentation used was made for Kevin Durant.
Yep.
This, along with not offering Curry a signature shoe, caused the superstar to switch from Nike and sign with Under Armour. Mm-hmm. Then there's just this gap where all of a sudden he's the GM of the Mavericks. Straight from there, and I get it. You're thinking, okay, I know the NBA is just different, and it's a player-driven league. It is very much about relationships. Rob Pelinka is the guy who made the trade on the other end, who had been an agent and now runs the Lakers.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Gets the better end.
He was Kobe's agent forever. Part of the Fab Five.
But to jump directly to that, and then there's this, which I just am entertained. The Wikipedia has 6 citations for this. Together with longtime friend Rob Pelinka, Harrison engineered the shocking February 2025 trade of Mavericks superstar Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers, considered by many as the worst trade in the history of the NBA. 6 separate citations. Because Wikipedia, you never want the citation needed. 6 different citations to say, yes, this is regarded as the worst ever.
Everyone thinks this was terrible.
But what's a similar pain level, Brockman? To
pain?
A similar pain, not Payne Stewart, who you bought that
Payne Stewart.
bought that from his estate on eBay. The pain level of Luka coming in that moment. This is not a twilight of the career thing. This is not Brett Favre coming back and playing the Packers when he's 39. What is the equivalent type of a pain in sports?
You know the movie Talladega Nights? You have seen that, right?
I've heard of it.
Ricky Bobby, right? Remember when all of a sudden, who's the guy with the mustache that I'm thinking about? Not Will Ferrell, but the other one, John C. Reilly. So his character just takes over his life and lives in his house and is with his wife, and all of a sudden is the father to his kids.
Wants at that wedding.
And Will Ferrell walked in and was just like, "What are you doing? This is my house." Sorry, man. Blah, 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 you know what I mean? That was last week. Like, I think it's kind of like that. Will Ferrell's pain of like, you just took over my life in like 3 days. That was real pain on Ricky Bobby's face and behind those eyes. And I feel like that's the pain that Mavs fans, they will never get over this. I mean, I was thinking this yesterday. I actually hope they win the lottery and get Cooper Flagg and then immediately fire Nico Harrison. That seems
how
like,
do you fire?
That
how
seems
do you fire
like
the
justice.
GM?
Hey, come here for a second.
No, I know how you fire him.
You're fired.
But if you signed off on trading away the superstar player, that's an ownership level decision. This is not trading your sixth man.
Yeah, he didn't do that on his own. He had to get permission from.
It seemed like he did it on his own.
No, you've heard the stories about the casino and then the owner being upset about not being able what she wanted to do. So there's always these internal stories of why
nobody
this went down.
knew this was happening.
But he can't do it without owner permission, bro. You know that. Like they have to.
But
sign off on this.
He goes to the owner and he gets the rubber stamp. I mean, Mark Cuban does not let this happen. I don't know that.
Over his dead body.
I'm pretty confident
over his dead body.
Mark Cuban does not let it happen. Who has Mark Cuban ever let leave the Mavericks in their prime? Steve Nash?
Yeah.
That was a little later in his career, though.
No, it wasn't.
How old was he at that point?
It was pre-MVP.
It was pre-MVP.
All right, so not even that late.
No,
that's the last one. And that's 12 years ago, 15 years ago? Well, it's a while.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Was not an active trade. This was, I'm just flabbergasted by the entire mechanics of it. And I understand it's never going to be popular, right? Teams make moves all the time. You have to do the hard thing. You can't keep players past their prime, which is definitely not the case with Luka.
Steve Nash was a free agent. It wasn't a trade.
Mm-hmm. It was a free agent. That's what I said.
He went to Phoenix as a free agent.
But I'm saying it wasn't
in what
late.
year?
It was still early.
2004.
Okay, so I'm trapped in a time warp. That was 21 years ago.
Yeah.
In my mind, Steve Nash is still playing at Cal.
Yeah, but it wasn't Santa Clara.
It
wasn't a trade. That's kind of your point.
Right. A trade of that player, of a player that caliber, is it just does not happen.
Right.
In sports, the NBA, there's always crazy stuff, but this one surpassed that level.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.